Hi friends, welcome back, or welcome if it is your first time here. Today we're doing another full face of one brand video, that brand being Profusion. So I'm pretty excited for this video. My favorite like everyday palette, I just realized I left the fan on. I'm really sorry, it's really hot today. Let me turn it down a bit. But my favorite everyday palette is actually from Profusion, but the main reason why I like it is because it's not too pigmented, like it's very soft. So yeah, I'm very intrigued. I've never tried anything else from Profusion. I've only ever tried, I think, 2 eyeshadow palettes and that's it. So I have my nice big box here. I'm very excited. And yeah, let's just get things started. So everything comes so nicely wrapped. It came in some bubble wrap, and then we also have like some just like paper here. But everything, well, not everything, but some things have plastic on them as well, like this little plastic film, but it's like got like these little like kind of like serrated marks, so it was so easy to remove it, which I really appreciate. So I'm gonna start off with an eye primer. We did grab an eye primer. This is the Profusion Pigment Base. It's an eyeshadow primer. I got mine in the shade neutral. I believe they had neutral and possibly white, but they didn't have like colors. It says it's crease free and smudge proof. It enhances color vibrancy and it's meant to be universally flattering. I don't know how this would work on like different skin tones, but we're gonna try it on my skin tone. I don't get along with a lot of eyeshadow primers, to be honest. I normally just use concealer because a lot of eyeshadow primers just crease on me. But we are gonna try this. I can't get it out though. So this is what the little tube looks like. It's quite nice. It's like black with a little gold accent, very sleek and nice. To be fair though, it looks kind of, I really want to show you, it looks kind of like a little bit separated, like right in here. I really hope you guys can see that. But let's just squirt some out and see how it goes. Oh, just took it off and it's already leaking. I'm just going to take some with my finger, because it does say on the back to smooth it out with your finger. I mean, it feels ever so slightly, no, it does actually feel like a little bit sticky. It smells a little bit like Play-Doh, but okay, I'm thinking what is going to be a good idea, a smart idea, is to do this one, so my right, which would be you guys' left, with the primer, and then do the other side with my normal concealer, because then I can actually see if like it does anything, because otherwise I feel like I'm not going to be able to tell. So this is just my Catrice True Skin. So I mean, it did like block out like the darkness in my eyes very well. It looks like I've got concealer on there, but it definitely feels more tacky than the concealer side, but we're just gonna have to see. Okay, so I kind of, when I bought this stuff, I had a colour theme in mind. No idea what kind of look, but I got this eyeshadow palette. Does this not look beautiful? This is the Delightful Dahlia palette. So they had a couple of these. I'm not sure how many different colorways, but this is what that looks like. Doesn't that look stunning? Let me take the plastic off. So without the plastic, that is what that looks like. It's quite bright outside today, so I do hope that you can see everything, but it's like just some really, really pretty shades. So we have this eyeshadow palette, and then I did also grab a little glitter palette. This is the Amethyst Gems 5 shade glitter palette. They had another couple of these. I grabbed these ones because, to be honest, I thought that this palette was a bit more purple toned on the website, I guess. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna start off obviously with the Delightful Dahlia palette. Okay, so to be honest, because it's not really a lot to set out my crease, I might actually start with a bronzer just to like start sculpt and everything. And for that, I have this. So this is the Highlight and Contour 1 palette. This is what it looks like. I do believe they had different variations of this depending on the skin tone, but this is just the one that I went for. So I'm going to start with Tan Sculpt over here. Okay, so I'm just going to start. Oh wow, very pigmented. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I actually think that it's more pigmented on the primer side. It's also just, it seems to be going a lot further on that side as well. Okay, now we go into our delightful Dahlia palette. And the reason why I wanted to use that bronzer palette is because there's really no transitions in here. It's just straight to like blue and purple. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab like a smaller brush, I think, to start off with. Okay, I'm taking a smaller brush and we're going to go into this blue right here, which is called Rainfall. Looks nicely pigmented. Let's put that sort of... It's not coming up like as pigmented as I would want. It looks a bit more like musky, like muddy sort of on my eye. Okay, I actually feel like that was easier to blend out on the non-primer side. I feel like it looks better, firstly, so that's this one. But also it was just way easier and quicker to work with. So that is, I guess, very interesting. Okay, now I'm going to grab a different small brush and let's go into, I guess, Bloom, which is this purple here. And I'm just going to put that sort of grazing the blue. Okay, so the primer side, you can really clearly see that it does intensify the pigment. I guess this side without primer looks a little bit more washed out, whereas this side definitely does look a little bit more pigmented, but I just feel like it's not blending the best, but I can definitely see that it is sort of gripping the pigment a bit better, so at least we can see that. Taking this the same small brush, I'm going to dip into the darkest blue now, which is called True. Now, shimmer time. So in here we have obviously these two. I don't know if they're both shimmers or if they're glitters. This spring one, that feels like a shimmer. That looks so pretty. We're definitely gonna do that on the inner corner. And then Dahlia. Whoa, that's so pretty. That's definitely more like a glitter, I would say. Yeah, that's definitely a glitter. That is so pretty. The reflex on that, no, stop. Okay, but then obviously I still have this glitter palette. So this is more sort of the purpley tones, which... So there's like this dark one, which... Pretty. Wow. And sort of like a bit more like ruby toned, like pinkish. I mean, it definitely, like, they feel like glitters. To be completely honest with you, I think I prefer like what's in the palette. Like, let me just swatch that spring shade. Firstly, it feels so buttery. That has such a nice reflex to it. So we might use like something like this as well, like this sort of multicolored one. But this green from the palette, like the greeny blue, is so stunning. So yeah, that's what we're gonna use. I'm just gonna take it with my finger and whoa, that's like really pigmented for a glitter. Oh my god, I think that's like one of the sparkliest things I've ever put on my eye. Like, genuinely ever. Like, what? Wow, that's so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of this sort of like deepest purple and just pop that out here a bit. And then just try and blend the glitters together a little. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but I did it. Honestly, no lie, I would buy this palette just for that blue shade. That is, I literally can't get over it. Like, look at it. Look at my eyes. I love. I'm just gonna blend this a little just so it doesn't look disjointed. Now I actually have an eyeliner, which is, it's lavender. It's a lavender eyeliner, which looks something like this. So I have no idea what we're gonna do now. Where is this gonna fit? I don't know. But we have the Profusion Cosmetics Bright Lights Pastel Liner. It's a fine tip applicator, long wear formula. Also, I think all of this stuff was cruelty free. And this one is in the shade Lavender, like I mentioned. Oh, it looks like it's a brush. And, oh, that's cute. That's a cute shade. Where are we thinking? I'm thinking possibly like in the crease, but I am like so bad at liner that it's not even funny. We're gonna give this a go. I mean, you can see it. The one thing I hate about these types of liners is that I always get it on my lashes. Okay, the liner I don't love. I feel like it's not opaque and it's like sort of skipping a little. I mean, I do understand as well that it's going over quite a lot of glitter, but it's just definitely not like the smoothest thing in the world. Yeah, I'm not really loving it. Now we're going to move on to the face, and for that I have a new foundation, kind of. This is the Profusion Feel Good Skin Long Wear Skin Perfector. It has hyaluronic acid, a medium to full coverage, a natural satin finish, and SPF 15. So this is what that looks like, and I got mine in the shade Fair One Warm Yellow. So I'm going to give that a go, but I also got a little sponge. This is a Profusion Cosmetics Blend It Out makeup sponge. One thing as well is that Cam was saying, and I agree with, is that all of the packaging is really nice, especially for how much you're paying. I'm going to go wet it, and then we're going to see. Right now it feels quite like a dense foam, but we'll see. Okay, so it grew a little bit, like that can't fit in there anymore. It feels very dense, so we will see. This Skin Perfector as well says that you should use a brush or your fingertips. Okay, so I'm gonna obviously try the sponge, but maybe then I'll use my fingertips or a brush on the other side. It doesn't feel very liquidy in here. Okay, so we're gonna start off with this sponge. You can hear it like on my face. I mean, to be fair, it blended it out. Just do a little more up here. And you can see I am sort of breaking out a little, so I do feel like this will be a good test. I do also have rosacea, which is all of that redness you can see. But also a little story time at the minute. My skin is breaking out even more right now. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. Because I went to see my brother on Sunday, I think it was. It was Bank Holiday Sunday. And we went up to North Wales in Rhyl to see an air show. And the air show was great. I brought Cam along. It was a lot of fun. And then afterwards we went out for a couple of drinks. And I don't remember anything else because my drink actually got spiked. It was so scary. Apparently I was like just like legit unconscious. They thought I was dead. So that was really scary. I had a fucking hard like few days. I was like vomiting everywhere. Like that's sort of why my voice has gone. Like it was not a good time for anyone involved. But apparently like spikings have been becoming pretty common in bars and clubs all across the UK. So just be careful. I mean, we were always near our drinks. Like it's not like we left them on a table and then walked away. Like we'd have them at the bar and then we'd be stood like in front of the bar. So I don't know how it happened, but it was fucking awful. Also, on another note, this looks actually really quite good. Like it sort of is like a soft matte finish. I get what they mean sort of with like that satin, natural satin finish. I mean the sponge blended it out. You can see I still got a little bit of rosacea in that, but it actually did give me a little bit of coverage, which I wasn't expecting. I'll try on the other side with a brush. But yeah, no, that's sort of why I'm breaking out so much. I think my body had like a reaction. But just be careful out there, because that was fucking like not nice. Okay, so that is this side with the brush, this side with the sponge. You definitely get a bit more coverage on the brush side, but I personally think I prefer the look of the sponge side. I am going to add just a little bit more right in here, and then probably blend over the whole of my face, and then we'll add some concealer, because Profusion doesn't actually have a concealer, but we do have a liquid blush to try, which I'm really excited about, because I've heard quite a few people rave about these blushes. But yeah, honestly, pretty impressed with that. It's kind of like a texture I've never felt before. It's like, you expect it to kind of be like really lightweight, but then you blend it out so easy and you expect it to sort of blend into nothing, but then it does give you like some coverage, but like a very like natural soft matte focus. It's actually really nice. I actually like that a lot more than I thought I would. I'm just going to pop in with some concealer. I'm just going to use the Catrice one that I used to prime this eye. I actually do quite like this sponge. I feel like because it's so dense, it's not like soaking up as much of my product, so I feel like I'm getting more coverage than I normally would, but it also blends out so easy. I actually quite like this sponge. I feel like there's like a lot of weird texture down here though, which I don't really know what that is, because I had nothing on my face, like no primer, no moisturizer, and things are sinking into my fine lines a little. But let's continue. We now have a blush, which this is probably what spurred me to make this order, is because I had seen people like Emily Knoll talk about these blushes. I think maybe Juicy Jazz. But this is the Blush Hour Soft Matte Liquid Blush. I've got mine in the shade Rosé. They had like maybe 5 different shades to pick from. So this is what the packaging looks like. So very reminiscent of, think like the Shein ones. Although it has a sparkly top. I don't know how I feel about that, but it doesn't really matter. So, but it has the same sort of packaging and also the same sort of application method, this little nublet. So it is very similar to the Shein ones, although they're not quite as liquidy as the Shein ones. The Shein ones, when you shake them, you can actually hear it. But let's pop some of this on my cheek. I have no idea how pigmented this is going to be. So let's do like that much to start off with. Okay, it did a little something. Oh, it smells kind of chemically. Okay, let's pop more. It's not really making impact like I thought it would. I feel like when people have talked about these, they've compared them to like the Rare Beauty ones, where you only need like a tiny amount of product. But mine, I feel like I need a lot. Let's try, hold on, a brush on this side. Okay, yeah, a brush is going to give you a lot more pigment. Yeah, no, I actually really like the colour of that and the look of it on my skin. It looks very like soft and airbrushed. I get what I mean by like that soft matte finish. Yeah, you just need to use a brush to blend it out, but I actually love like the soft diffused look of that on my skin. Beautiful. I'm gonna add a little to my nose and a little to sort of my temple area, just for a bit more of a cohesive look. Okay, so that gets a yes from me. I actually see why there's hype around that. That is very beautiful. So we don't have like a dedicated setting powder, but in this highlight and contour palette there is like just a cream shade here, so I'm thinking we're going to try that to set our face, and then obviously we'll use the rest of it on the rest of my face. So I'm just gonna blend out my creases. Okay, I'm just going to dip into that cream light shade. I think that's so cool though, because normally you don't get setting powders in these sorts of palettes. So So I think it's so cool that they actually added a setting powder in there. And also, to be honest, even though there's like that skin perfector thing, it really doesn't feel too like wet or oily. Like my face doesn't feel like it needs a lot of powder, to be completely honest. I'm just gonna dust some about. It's definitely not my favorite setting powder. I just don't really like pressed powders. I think they're a bit too heavy for me. But my skin, it does look pretty good. It looks like pretty smooth. Like I can't really complain. It's just there's powders that I like more, like my just bog standard powders that I use. But everything looks really pretty set. Like I said, like that skin perfector thing didn't even really need to be set. I mean, you can see that my face isn't perfect. Like there's a little bit of splotchiness here. You can see like where some of my pimples are, but like I think all round it looks really good actually. I'm actually very impressed with that. I didn't expect it. But now obviously we're going to move into the face. So because I tested this earlier, I'm honestly a little bit scared of this tan sculpt shade. So I'm going to start with the light sculpt, which looks like a much better shade for me. I'm going to use a duo fiber brush. Very powdery. Like you can see that, right? Very powdery. Have I found a new love? Have I actually? Look at that. That's like just so, like it's like sculpting. It is like a sculpting colour, kind of like a contour. Okay, so this side of my face, I've got the powder on. It looks good, doesn't it? I feel like that looks like such a natural contour. I think I actually love it. I think I actually love it. Let me just clean that up a smidge. And boom. Okay, this definitely gets a thumbs up. This is one of the better like contouring powders I've tried because I feel like it's just so like natural and subtle. Now I get why people rave about these palettes. Let's do some highlights. I'm actually going to swatch these two because I'm not sure which one I want to use. We've got Impulse, holy shit, and Heartfelt. Heartfelt feels like a bit of a smoother formula, but Impulse, Heartfelt. So this one's a bit more sort of like pinky and like brightening, whereas this one's a bit more like yellow goldy. I think I'm going to go into Heartfelt. Ooh. Whoa. Whoa. Did someone say brightening? Holy shit. Okay, yeah, I'm not really into this sort of highlight. It's just sort of like a stripe. Let me try the Impulse shade on top. That might be like a better fit for me. I just feel like it's a bit stripy. I'm gonna take Impulse. Oh. Okay, I am definitely more into sort of like cream highlighter, sort of like that soft focus lip from within sort of glow. So this is not personally my thing, but if you like very blinding sort of glittery highlights, then you would like this. But honestly, for me, even just the contour shades are worth it. But yeah, the highlights are just not my sort of thing. Okay, so we have like some brow stuff, and that's about it. We don't actually have like a setting spray. I don't think they sold one, and I didn't see any lip products that caught my fancy. So I might just add a little bit of setting spray now quickly because my face is feeling quite dry. I'm just going to use a bit of my PS Prep and Perfect. This is from Primark. Why that's drying, I think I'm going to try and take a little bit of the blush on my lips. Like, it doesn't say that it's for lips, but I'm just going to try a little bit. It definitely feels like sort of like a mousse, like dry. It kind of feels like the only thing I can really do compare it to It's like Colourpop have those, I don't know, I think they're called like Luxe lip oils, no, Luxe lip mousses or something like that, and that's what they remind me of. But I'm also just going to put on a little bit of gloss. Just going to put on this high gloss in the shade Candy. My Pretty Little Thing one I think is still in my bag from when I went out. So this happens to me occasionally where I get some weird texture issue here. I'm not 100% sure why it happens, but it sometimes happens, and it happened today. It's sort of where makeup separates, but I don't have a primer on, so I'm honestly not sure. It's always a bit weird, but I just thought I'd point that out. That does happen sometimes. It's not like exclusively these products' fault. But let's do some eyebrows. I'm scared. So I got this. This is the Good Brow Day. It's a ultra fine brow pencil and a tinted brow gel. I got mine in the shades dark brown. So this is what these look like. So you've got a nice skinny pencil here. It does look like it's a wind up. And then you also have the brow gel. I want to look at the colour. A relatively okay wand. It looks like it's going to be quite dark, but it looks quite cool toned. And then let me just swatch this pencil. That looks like a lot lighter. Okay. I'm going to use the gel first to sort of shape my eyebrows. And then I'm a bit scared. It's just always with like these sorts of brow gels is they always sort of goop in between my hairs, like on my skin, and I don't want that. Oh my god, it's so messy. With like these sorts of brow gels as well, I just feel like I can't shape my actual eyebrows. Because it just like it gets so messy if you try and put in any sort of like pressure to it, and it just goes on your skin. So these sorts of brow gels aren't my favourite in general, and this one's sort of no different. So yeah. Okay, and then let's use this brow pencil to try and fill in some hairs. This is very like light, like in colour. Okay. Definitely not my favourite brows of all time. They're sort of not very shapely. It's just sort of, this is what I mean when I say when things like sort of create like a mist. It's like, it's just sort of like nothing's like defined. It's just sort of like misting. So those brow products are misses for me, unfortunately. The one that I'll probably use more than the other would be the brow pencil, but don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna like go running back to either. Let's finish up my eyes quickly. I think I'm just gonna do a little inner corner highlight and under the brow highlight first with that spring shade, because I already know that I want to do that. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, it looks a bit chunky. Oh, that's so pretty. The only thing is it is a little bit chunky, so I do feel like I'm getting a couple flecks sort of like under my eyes, which I don't want. That is very beautiful. And then under the eyes, I'm going to take, I think, the purple, the Bloom shade. Okay, and then to actually finish the look off, we have mascara. Okay, so we have the Lash Out Loud Lengthening and Curling Mascara. It's meant to be a lightweight gel formula, and it's meant to be clump free. So you can see like the before and afters there. So we'll see if I get the same before and afters. So that's the packaging. Should I curl my lashes? I will. Let's give it the best go it can have. It's quite difficult to get the wand out, but this is what it looks like. So sort of like curved. Silicone bristles are sort of like shorter ones, then longer ones, shorter ones on the curve, longer ones on the outer part. So let's just start. I do know that it's probably going to be difficult to see my lashes because I have such makeup on my eyes right now. Okay, so I will definitely have to test this again on a day where I haven't got so much eyeshadow on. But so far, it just looks really messy, but not like it's doing a lot. Like, I can't really feel it going through my eyelashes. It doesn't really feel like it's picking them up. It doesn't really feel like it's doing anything. The formula also feels quite wet. But yeah, I definitely don't like it so far. Okay, so this is my finished look using a full face of Profusion Cosmetics. As it stands right now, it's not my most favourite look that I've ever done, but there are a lot of individual elements of this makeup that I really enjoy. But I'm gonna go and we'll see how this wears, so I'll see you later on. Bye. Okay, I am back. It is currently 10:30. I started putting this on at like 2, so we say it's been about 8 hours. And this is how we're looking. Honestly, I'm like quite pleasantly surprised, like, by the way my skin has sort of held up. Like, don't get me wrong, it's felt a little bit like oily, but like I haven't done any touching up at all, apart from I just put on lip gloss like literally 2 seconds ago. But like, I don't know, even the highlighter, like, it just looks nice, like it's sunk in, it looks loads better. Like, I'm obviously a little bit oily, and like if I take that sponge from earlier and I just sort of do that, but like it doesn't look too bad. Like, it still looks pretty good. I feel like you can still see like the blush, the contour, obviously the highlight. Like, these like shades have stayed on really well. Like, this eye, I completely forgot about the eye primers. Okay, so this eye was the eye with the eye primer, and you can see it has creased a bit in there. This side had concealer and it hasn't creased as much, is the first thing I can see. But the second thing I can see is that this side here still has more intense pigment than this side does. Like, you can see, especially with like the purple, that like this side just looks more intense. This side is patched off a bit here, whereas this side hasn't. So I will say, I do think that that eye primer actually made a difference, because even down to like the inner corner and the brow bone, like, they're still popping on this side, but I turned to this side and they faded quite a lot. So I'm gonna actually give my verdict that I think that eye primer works, and I think I'm actually gonna start using it. I think I'll probably use a little bit less, because as I did mention, it has creased, but for the like pigment payoff that I've still got, I'm actually very impressed. Moving on to the mascara, it hasn't smudged like at all. I have this tiny little flake here that I think has only just come like in the last few minutes, but it hasn't smudged or flaked at all. So I don't know, I think maybe if the formula dries out a little bit, maybe I'll be able to get some more out of it, and I'll try it obviously when I haven't got all of this makeup on. But I have hopes for the mascara, just for the fact that it didn't smudge, it didn't flake, it didn't do anything. That's very rare with me because my eyes are always really watery. The brows, I mean, you can still move them, but there's still definitely colour in them. I have eyebrows. The foundation, I think I actually do quite like it. It's like natural, but still like soft matte. I do actually think I quite like the foundation. Obviously, like, the setting powder that I use is not something that I would normally use. So I think if I used my normal setting powder, I probably wouldn't have been as oily, because like there were some areas of my face that I didn't even set properly. But yeah, honestly, I'm quite impressed with all of it. I mean, even the eyeliner has stayed. I mean, it hasn't stayed very well, but it has stayed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually quite happy with the way my face looks. So yeah. When Cam saw me earlier, because he was having a nap when I was filming the video, he came out and he was like, oh, that looks nice. Like, he really, really liked the sparkle. And to be fair, so did I. But I was taking pictures of it and it wasn't showing up as like intense. Like, in person, it's like green, yellow, purple, pink, blue pigments. Like, it almost looks kind of oceany, like more greeny blue. But in the photos, it was just looking kind of dull. So I really hope it's coming across on this camera, because it is such a beautiful sparkle. But yeah, that's it from me. To be honest, I'm pretty impressed with most of the stuff that I tried. Surprisingly so, because I didn't think I'd like a lot of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, let me know what other brands you want me to like do a full face on, because I'm really enjoying these full face of one brand videos. I've done a couple now on my channel and I do intend to keep doing them. So drop me brands down below, affordable ones that you want me to try, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Everything 2022.
Whoop, whoop.